Magic Man, tennis preacher, prophet, psychic. Man, I got him by the freeway. Y'all know the Magic Man. I can bust a video from anywhere. I'm sort of feeling a topic right now, but I hope you guys can hear me, and the noise from the freeway over there won't mess up everything. Okay, people, like the title says, this is the most, maybe the most, I think it's the most important, most significant match in the history of tennis. Now, I didn't say it was the greatest match, unless somebody wants to say, well, significant and important can be the greatest. I mean, those are two different things, but it's definitely the most significant match because it changed the whole course of history. Okay, and of course I'm talking about, like the title says, when Nadal first played Federer. So I was always curious about this because we know Federer lost against Nadal all those times in the past, and I think it's a match that everybody should go back and see. Not just watch the highlights, but go back and watch and listen to the commentators. So it's interesting to see the potential greatness of Nadal. We already knew how great, we wasn't sure Federer would win like 20, but we knew he was headed towards a lot of majors. So I went back to watch the whole match, not just the highlights, because I wanted to know really what happened, what made Nadal get in Federer's head. Because, y'all, listen, if Nadal wouldn't have got in Federer's head all those years, it would have changed the whole course of tennis history. Federer would have had like 30 majors now. He would have won at least a Grand Slam. That means all 4 in 1 year. He would have at least won that 2 years or more. And from the Nadal side, had Nadal not been able to get in Federer's head and beat Federer all those times, Nadal probably would have only 6 or 8 majors. So you see, it would have really changed the history of tennis big time. So let me just quickly say this here. When I went back to, the match was in 2004, of course, a couple months or so before the French Open in 2004. I do remember, I didn't watch the match at that time. This was the first time I actually watched the match, just yesterday on YouTube. Now, I did hear about the match, and I heard about it on the day that it happened. I was actually playing tennis in North Hollywood, California at a park, and somebody came and said, hey man, this young guy, that 18-year-old guy named Nadal, he upset Federer in Miami or something. And so, to be honest, I got to admit this. At that time, I like Federer now, but I didn't like Federer as a tennis player. Nothing personal, but Pete Sampras was my favorite player. So I didn't want I didn't want Federer to break Sampras' record, so I pulled against Federer because I saw how good he was. So I was like, man, this guy's so good, he could be a threat to Pete Sampras' slam record. So I was actually pulling against. I was glad to hear that there was this young guy named Nadal, 18 years old, that beat Federer. Now, I didn't remember until I watched the match yesterday. All these years, I thought the match was like 3 sets, and a close 3 sets. No, Nadal actually beat Federer straight sets in 6-3, 6-3. So, now I already said why the match was significant, that it would have changed the slam number. Federer would have almost 30 majors. Nadal would have probably only 6 or 8. Okay, so now let me just analyze the match. Like when I went through the match, what did I see? Did I see why Nadal got in Federer's head and stuff here? Okay, so the match was like, it was like 2-2, the first set. Then all of a sudden, Nadal broke away, and you can see Federer was bothered by the way Nadal was playing. Now, let me tell y'all something. What impressed me about the match, Nadal, he played at a very high level that match. I mean, he was playing out of his mind, because I saw Nadal, like even a couple years after that, I remember a guy named James Blake used to blast Nadal. So Nadal, that first time he played Federer, he played better then than even he played a couple years after that. So So Nadal played out of his mind, and I think what happened was, let me say something about Federer then. Now, Federer is not arrogant now. But back then, Federer, I didn't really like that about Federer. He had this arrogant thing about himself that, oh, I don't need to change my game for anybody. My game is so beautiful, so good. I don't need to change my game and adjust to what this young 18-year-old kid is doing. This kid who doesn't have as beautiful game as I have. So I sort of felt some of that airy stuff from Federer, that he didn't want to get tough, get mentally tough, and grind it out with Nadal, with this guy. But man, Nadal was hitting hard in that match. I couldn't believe how hard Nadal was hitting, because in other matches, like I said, Nadal was not known to really hit hard in his earlier career. He started hitting bigger like after 2007 when he went to another level and stuff. So I think from the Federer side, I think Federer didn't want to, and even after that match, and for the next, man, 5 or 6, 7 years, Federer tried to just stay in his little mode, his smooth mode, which is great, but against Nadal, man, you got to have a tougher mind, and Federer has a tougher mind now, but Federer didn't really want to change his game to adjust. I saw that in that particular game, and he didn't want to change his game all those years against Nadal, so that really hurt him. Okay, now from the Nadal side, you saw right off the bat, he was tough. He was not afraid of Federer. Playing every point hard. It didn't matter if Federer was on the other side. It didn't matter if Jesus Christ was on the other side. Nadal played tough, hard on every point, and the thing about that game too, what I thought was funny, Nadal was actually very aggressive in that game. I think he stopped doing that. I know he's trying to do it again now, but that game against Federer, man, he brought out everything, and I think that took Federer by surprise. He didn't really want to make the adjustments, or really didn't know how to make the adjustments, and Nadal just took him by surprise and got in his head quick, and stayed in his head from 2004 to 2017. Nadal didn't get out of Federer's head until the Australian Open of this year. So that's amazing. But I will advise everybody, go back and watch that match. Now, here was another amazing thing that really amazed me. Is that the commentators, you know what, they didn't say that Nadal was going to win 16 majors, but they did say this when the match was over. They say, this guy has improved more than anybody we ever seen, and God knows where he's going. So the commentators got it right. They already knew how great Federer was going to be. But I'm saying, a lot of times, even me, I didn't know Federer was going to win 19. I mean, not during 2004. Now, after 2004, by 2009, I knew where he was headed. But I damn sure didn't think Nadal was going to win 16, maybe 6 or 8. So, but the commentators, they said, this guy, he has blossomed like nothing we have ever seen. So they sort of got the Nadal thing right. Okay, people, Magic Man, yes, this is one of the most important, significant matches. Nadal fans talk about when Nadal beat Federer in the Australian Open. They talk about when Nadal beat Federer in the Wimbledon. Forget that, man. The match that changed history is that first time Nadal and Federer played in the Miami Open 2004. Okay, people, Magic Man, tennis preacher, prophet, psychic, signing off. Have a nice day.
Ha 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 ha.